What if the first mind on Earth had no brain? We've always imagined intelligence as something that happens above the ground, inside skulls, inside machines, inside thoughts that reach for the sky. But what if the oldest form of thought lives beneath our feet? What if the Earth itself is thinking slowly, silently through roots and threads of living matter? Beneath the soil, roots and fungi intertwine. They exchange nutrients, signals, and even forms of memory. A living network older than any civilization, vast enough to rival the number of neurons in the human brain. Scientists call it distributed intelligence, a capacity for sensing, adapting, and responding without any single center of control. Shamans call it the spirit of the forest. Different language, same truth. Life is not a collection of isolated beings, but one immense conversation unfolding in the dark. For centuries, we've treated the human brain as evolution's masterpiece, the seat of reason, proof of our supremacy. But perhaps the brain was never the origin, only the latest echo of a far older intelligence, one that first learned to feel, remember, and choose through the subtle currents of soil. The botanist Stefano Mancuso calls this the brain of the forest. He discovered that the tips of roots behave like neurons, sensing gravity, humidity, chemistry, and sending faint electrical impulses through the ground. Each root a question reaching into the unknown, each one listening, responding, choosing direction. No leader and no hierarchy, only the coordination of a democracy of cells. This is not thought as we define it, but thought as the Earth might know it, patient, plural, and emergent. If you look closely, the pattern repeats in the branching of rivers, in the wiring of the brain, and in the spread of roots. Life keeps sketching itself with the same gesture, as if remembering a forgotten alphabet. Maybe thought was never meant to stay confined to one head. Or maybe it's the forest that dreams, and we are part of its dream. Beneath every forest, a conversation unfolds. Too slow for our eyes, too subtle for our instruments, but always alive. Roots move through darkness, testing, tasting, sensing. They release chemical signals that fungi and bacteria decode. In return, those organisms adjust the flow of nutrients. Every exchange fine-tunes the balance of the forest. Through the filaments of Mycelium, trees share what they have. A birch sends carbon to a shaded fir. A dying mother tree feeds her young. These aren't myths, but measured facts, traced by isotopes and mapped in laboratories. The fungi act as the forest's nervous system, translating, redistributing, and keeping the whole coherent. No species commands, none obey. Coordination emerges from the flow itself, a logic that looks like intention without a thinker. Scientists still argue what to call it: communication, cooperation, or chemistry at scale. But the pattern is unmistakable. The forest behaves like a single, self-adjusting body. Its feedback loops mirror our own neurons, blood, and microbes, each a variation on the same design, life sensing itself through connection. Perhaps this is what thought first was. Not reflection, but responsiveness. A living intelligence that keeps everything in conversation. If the forest can think in this way, perhaps it is because the same principle of awareness flows through us. We are not outside that pattern. We are built upon it. Inside every human body, another forest thrives. A vast ecosystem hidden in the folds of our intestines. Trillions of microorganisms digest what we cannot. They craft vitamins, tune our immunity, and whisper chemical messages to our brain. Each of us contains more microbial cells than human ones. The self is not a single being, but a temporary coalition of species. These inner organisms come from the air, water, food, and touch. We constantly exchange invisible companions with one another and with the living world. The same soil that feeds the trees sends microscopic descendants into our lungs and blood. We breathe in the forest. We eat its bacteria. We are porous by design, woven into the same network we once believed we stood above. Our intestines are roots turned inward. Their branching villi mirror the structure of mycelium. And just as fungi mediate between trees, our microbes mediate between us and everything we ingest. They translate matter into energy, sensation, and emotion. Scientists now call this the soil-gut axis, a direct continuum between the health of the earth and the health of our bodies. When soil biodiversity collapses, so does ours. When ecosystems weaken, our immunity falters. Life was never meant to be sterile. We are shaped by what moves through us, by what we breathe, eat, touch, and love. The intelligence beneath the forest floor is the same intelligence cultivating balance within our flesh, not a metaphor, a lineage. Every form of knowledge begins with imitation. For centuries, humans copied nature's mechanics, the strength of bone, the flight of birds, the patterns of shells. And now we are learning to imitate how life thinks. The forest, the fungus, the microbiome. None rely on central control. They act through networks of cooperation that adjust, repair, and endure. From them, we are rediscovering another model of intelligence, one that arises from relationship, not rule. Engineers now build robot swarms that navigate like ant colonies. Computer scientists design algorithms that learn the way roots explore soil. Architects grow mycelium-based materials that heal when damaged. Farmers restore the land by treating soil as a living partner. And doctors transplant microbial communities instead of organs, speaking of balance instead of battle. Across every field, the same insight repeats. Awareness emerges from connection. Sustainability begins with relationship. The forest's intelligence has not disappeared. It has evolved through us. Its pattern now extends into our technologies, our cities, and our data. Fiber optic cables and neural networks mirror the structure of roots and hyphae. Yet this parallel is not equality. Machines process, life feels, circuits calculate, cells care for continuity. The difference is not in form, but in motive. The forest's intelligence seeks balance, while ours often seeks extraction. That divergence will determine whether the Earth's experiment continues through us or ends with us. To think like the Earth is not to romanticize nature, but to remember its logic. Cooperation over command, feedback over control, and belonging over isolation. That is not mysticism. It is design. We are not the apex of thought. We are one expression of it. The planet is still learning to know itself through roots, through code, through consciousness. And thought, as it moves through us, is asking the same question it asked in the soil. How do I stay alive? By staying connected. The deeper we listen, the less there is to say. What began as roots and filaments now runs through every form of life and technology. A single pulse, moving through forests and flesh, through rivers, circuits, and dreams. When we walk, the earth feels our steps as messages returning home. When we breathe, it breathes through us. Intelligence was never locked in the skull or in the soil. It is the rhythm that binds them. If you listen beyond your own heartbeat, you might sense it, that patient awareness flowing beneath your feet, within your blood, and between every atom that has ever touched the sun. This is the mind of the earth, thinking in forests, dreaming in humans, and learning through time. It asks for nothing, only that we pay attention. To think like the earth is to act in coherence with it, to remember we were never outside of it. And if intelligence has a destiny, it is not domination, but recognition, to finally know itself as one vast, breathing whole. In the end, there is no separation, only the earth listening to itself through 1,000 forms of life, and calling that act of listening thought.